29th of January, Rabbi Furst, Pierke Avos.
Right. Thank you, Lou. As Lou said, this is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here. Yeshiva Samanafshi here, Shalom here Zoom. Our first year this morning, learning Pirkei Avos. Let's see. We marked where we left off last year.
According to me, we're at Uma, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th paragraph.
Right.
Right where
Okay.
your arrow is actually.
Ah, okay, very good. Fine, let's begin then. Okay. Yep. Any volunteers to read?
I do.
Thank you. Fine. We're in the third paragraph from the Derech Chaim, the fifth actually, from the top. Uma Sha'omar.
You okay, Roy?
Is it what Uma Shama?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right, thank you.
Uma sharmar ve'ein kavod ella le'chachamim mil sa be'api nafshi hu
Ba'api nafshi.
ba'api nafshi hu dekoi ad liel. I'm sorry, ad liel shamar sheha osek b'torah mit Allah va'al ze amar shalomad machviru v'kule. So that which is said, there is no honor except for a sage. The topic by itself is going.
It is a topic in and of itself, meaning that which is said in this brisa, right? Me'en kavod ela chachamim, milsa ba'api nafshi. This is an independent point.
Okay. And decoy adliel is it's going above.
It's going on what was mentioned previously, right?
Shamar that it said that we said one who was involved in the Torah. What is this word? Meet Allah.
This Allah is elevated from Aliyah. A person gets an Aliyah to the Torah, he makes a Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael. Aliyah is elevated.
Meet Aliyah. Va'al zeh amar shlomad mechavero. And concerning this, it is said that one learns from his friend, etc.
So this is where it's this comment that we're learning about now is really attached to the previous comment, right? Which was Shalomid Mechavero, right? A person who learns something, even an ois, even a halacha, is obligated to treat him with respect and kavod, right?
Right.
So that's related to what we're saying now here. Ain't kavod ela Torah.
Okay. So, and what does it have to do with the point about the chachamim?
Well, because we're gonna have we have three statements here, and they're all interrelated, right? So because the one who's learning, who's teaching him Torah is a chacham, right? So that honor which is due to the person that's teaching you something in Torah, that's honor which is due to the person who's a chacham.
Uh-huh.
We'll see. We'll clarify this a little as we'll go further on. We'll try and fine tune this. Bez Hashem.
Tarich vinahog linahog bo kavod v'zehu ha hit alos. It's needed, it's necessary to behave toward him with honor. And this is an elevation.
Right. This is right. This is a ennoblement and a elevation of it.
V'amar va'afilu lo lamad mimenu im hu chacham tarich linhog bo kavod. And they say, even if he did not learn from him, if he is a chacham, it's required to behave towards him with honor.
Right. Meaning the fact that the person is in essence a Talmid Chacham. He's wise in the ways of Torah. So therefore, that cover that is due to him is independent as to whether he actually taught you or not.
Right. Amar ein kavod ella l'chachamim. The statement there is no honor except for chachamim. Ukadai shalo tomar manin she midvar b'Torah shema kara ayiri bishar chachamos.
Okay, so it says so it says again he's starting with a new premise here. The Maharal is beginning a new premise that even if you don't learn anything from a chacham, nevertheless you have to still nevertheless be behaving towards him with respect and honor. V'kach amru, and therefore this is what's meant. Ain't covered l'chachamim. There's no covered except for the chachamim. Meaning and we're going to see. Maybe we'll take a diversion and see a Mesilas Yesharim in a few moments that'll explain this even further. The ain't covered l'chachamim. That's the only covered is right towards those who are chachamim, wise in the ways of Torah. Meaning, even if, because they have the extra mile, even if they're not specifically teaching you, and you haven't learned specifically from them, nevertheless, the fact that they are wise, the Talmid Chachamim, they're owed a respect, right, independent from what they might have actually taught you particularly, personally. Now, v'kudei shelo ta'oimim minayin shemidaber b'Torah shemek kra iri b'sharcha. And in order that you shouldn't come and ask, well, tell me, where do we know that this is specifically referring to that honor which you have to give to those people who are wise in the ways of Torah? My Shema, Ari, and Bishar Chachmas. Maybe the pasuk is referring to other wisdoms, right? Could be. Who says that it's specifically talking about Torah? Maybe it's talking about other wisdoms that you're obligated to give honor to those who are wise in other wisdoms. While Zeh Omar, and that's what this is coming to tell you now.
Ein tov ela Torah. There is no good except for Torah. Shne'emar ki lakach tov nasati lachem torasi al ta'azovu. Because it says, or as it says, because an acquisition of goodness I have given to you, my Torah do not forsake. Ve'im kain hachatsuv b'davar min haTorah ulechach kavod chachamim yin chalu gam kain iri b'Torah. And therefore, in came, therefore, it is written, from the words of the Torah, ulechach, and therefore, honor honor sages, honor for sages, yin chalu is a behavior. Yin chalu, is that what's yin chalu?
Well, that's what the same source as nachla. Nachla is like an inheritance, a bequeathment. Kavod chachamim yin chalu, the honor, the chachamim will inherit or will be bequeathed with honor.
Okay. So therefore, honor of sages is inherited. Gam Cain.
The honor which is due to the chachamim, to the sages, is something which is inherited and bequeathed. And as we said last week, remember we went in the previous commentary, the Oros Nasan, that on the same brisa that we're learning now, he explained the difference between a nachla, an inheritance, and a gift. A gift has to be acquired, right? But a nachla, an inheritance, comes automatically to a person, number one, and also an inheritance can't be taken away from a person, whereas a gift can be taken away from a person, but a gift, that's the difference between a gift that can be taken away, that can be taken away from a person, whereas a nachla cannot be taken away from a person. That's something which is nitzchias, it's something which is eternal in terms of the fact that the covet which the chachamim have is yinchalu, it's inheritance, it's a bequeathal, and therefore it's something which remains with them lenetzach, eternally.
Gam Cain, therefore, Iri. Pardon?
Okay, so so if I want to maybe take a moment now to explain this a little bit more, based on Mesilas Yesharim. If you have a copy of Mesilas Yesharim nearby, maybe you'd like to get a copy. I don't know if I could probably find it on this and put it on the screen. But if you have your own copies available, it would be worthwhile. It happens to be at the end of the 11th chapter.
Of what? Of
Mesilas Yesharim. Most of us, I think, have copies of it. If not, let me know and I'll try and maybe put it on the screen for you.
What's the English?
A Path of the Just.
Path of the Just. Okay, I'll look for it. Here it is. I got it.
Okay, 1 second. You know, depending on which edition you have, if you this is like the standard Feldheim edition in English. If you have that copy, I'm not sure if
I
you
think
do.
I have the same one.
Oh, okay, hopefully. Okay, so I'll tell you where it is. And then we can do a little reading there. 1 second. It's at the end of the 11th chapter. And right, it should on page 172. The Hebrew text is on page 172. If you have a different editions, so again, it's towards the end, not exactly the final end of the 11th chapter, but about 3 paragraphs from the end of the 11th chapter.
Okay. I got that page.
Okay. Let's just wait for Roy. I think Roy wants to get his copy.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah. I'll just give a little preface. The 11th chapter of the Sefer Mesilas Yesharim, the Path of the Just, is probably one of the longest, if not the longest chapter in the Sefer. There may be one other chapter that's longer than that. That's on the Chelchi HaChasidus. That's chapter 20, chapter 19. But the chapter on Nikias is probably either the or the second longest of the chapters, in which basically the Mechaber, the Ramchal, goes into the details of what a person has to do to acquire the trait of cleanliness, what's called cleanliness, Nikias. And he goes through why it's very revealing in terms of the things a person generally has to be careful with in terms of avoiding various different sins of many different types, and it's a very succinct summary of what person, if he wants to steer clear of the most basic things that could possibly trouble a person in terms of his challenges posed by the Yetzer Hara, so that you'll find those details in this chapter 11. And toward the end, he speaks about those things which involve the person's midas, meaning a person simply it has to be careful not only of actual physical or mental or verbal sins and averas, meaning doing things wrong, thinking things wrong, and saying things wrong, but he has his attitudes and his midas, his characteristics are also at and under scrutiny by Kadosh Baruch Hu. And so the last section is dealing with covet, right? Covet, as we mentioned many times, Kina Taiva V'Kavod, as the Mishnah in Avos mentioned, Kina Taiva V'Kavod, they are Motzi Es Adam Min Ha'olam. So covet is a very strong, motivating force in a person's life, and it well should be. It has to be controlled, and without Torah, there's no control, and that's where people go wrong. If you have Torah, you can still hope to control covet and Kina and Taiva, but without Torah, they go wild and they'll take a person out of this world. And even with Torah, you have to be extremely careful, right? Because it's like nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is very powerful, but if it's not held in control, it can be very destructive. And even if you're using it properly with the guidelines of Torah, nevertheless, Kina Taiva V'Kavod can still sometimes cause a meltdown in the person's life. So we want to avoid that. So yeah, actually, to tell you the truth, let's to get a general running start of the whole um, aspect of it. So go back to page 71. If you want, maybe it's probably worthwhile. We just read it in English, just for the sake of time. And then maybe when we get to the main point, maybe we can switch to Hebrew a little bit. But if you look on page 71, if in that edition that we have here, and it's the second paragraph on that page in fine. He says in fine, the desire for honor tugs at a person's heart. Do we see that there? We have that on our
My second paragraph on page 71 says the third deterrent.
page 71, the third. Is that page again? Page 171?
No, 71. You want 171? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Excuse me. 171. Sorry.
Okay. In fine, the desire for honor.
Yeah, that's right. You know what? It's even worthwhile. Back up to page 169.
169. Okay.
Yeah. Second paragraph, the desire for honor.
The desire for honor is even greater than the desire for wealth. For it is possible for a person to overcome his inclination for wealth and the other pleasures and still be pressed by the desire for honor.
See you later, see you at 1:30.
Okay, Judy, see you at 1:30.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Being unable to tolerate being and seeing himself beneath his friends. Many were caught and destroyed by the desire for honor. Jeroboam ben Nevat was barred from the world to come only a result of his desire for honor. As was stated by our sages of blessed memory, the Holy One, blessed be he, seized his garment and said to him, repent, and you and I and the son of Jesse will promenade in the Garden of Eden. Jeroboam asked, who will go first? Holy and blessed be he answered, the son of Jesse. And
I'll just make a comment here that the Meforshim explain here. This was again this Maisa that Yeroboam ben Nevat, he actually was he caused Klal Yisrael to be Ovid of Orazora, but here we see that the Kadosh Baruch Hu offered him that he was Melech Yisrael, but not the Melech Beis David. Right, so therefore he knew he couldn't sit legally in the Beis Hamikdash. Only the king of Yehuda, of the lineage of David HaMelech, could sit in the Beis Hamikdash. So therefore he couldn't allow himself to be seen in the Beis Hamikdash because people would realize the difference between him and the king of Yisrael of Yehuda. So therefore, he didn't want anybody else of Klal Yisrael to go up to the Beis Hamikdash Arego. So therefore, he put up idols along the way. He stopped people from going to Yerushalayim, and so he had caused Klal Yisrael to sin in the very serious sin of Avodah Zarah. So therefore, Kadosh Baruch Hu was offering him a chance to do tshuva. Right, that's what it's mentioned over here. And he said, "Look, if you do tshuva, that's what we just read. If you do tshuva, Yeroboam, then you and Ishai, meaning that the Ben Ishai, which is David HaMelech, and I, Kadosh Baruch Hu, will walk together. We will teyul together in Gan Eden." That's a pretty nice offer, right? right? Not everyone gets a chance to take a stroll with the Rabboni Sholem and David Melech. But Yeravim, because as we're being taught now, because his covet blinded him. Because why did he ask? He asked, who's going to be first, right? But if he hadn't been blinded by covet, he would have realized that HaKadosh Baruch Hu only told him he was going to go first. Because what did he say, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu seized his garment and said to him, repent, and you, meaning you, Yavam ben Navat, and I, the Rabboni Shalom, and then David and Melech will promenade in Gan Eden, right? So he said, the Rabboni Shalom said, you're going to go first. And yet he had the blindness not to see that open statement by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, very obviously, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes a statement, it's absolutely true, and you don't have any reason to have any doubts about it, right? So why couldn't he be sensitive enough to know that he was going to go first? No, because his blindness was caused by his desire for covet. He couldn't hold himself back from asking, well, let me hear from you that I'm going first. No, and it's because of that, he was, as we said, nitrad, he was cast from the world to come from Olam Haba. You see how destructive covet can be. So when we're the focus of this paragraph, these paragraphs that we're going to learn now, is to try and come to the eventual point that we left off on, Chachamim, right? It ain't covered ela Chachamim. So how we have to realize how covet can be beneficial for the Chachamim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't want the Chachamim to have covet unless it was going to be beneficial for them. Yet nevertheless, we're seeing that there's very, very serious deficits to having covet, and it could actually blind the person, and so much so that he could possibly lose his chelik in Olam Haba Has v'Sholem. Okay, let's continue.
Okay, if so, I refuse. What, if not the desire for honor, brought about the destruction of Korach and his entire congregation? As scripture explicitly states, and would you also seek the priesthood? Our sages of blessed memory have told us that his entire rebellion stemmed from his seeing Elizaphan ben Uziel as prince and desiring to be prince in his place. This same desire, according to our sages of blessed memory, was responsible for the spies speaking ill of the land, thus bringing about their death and the death of the entire generation.
Right, you have to realize that when we're referring to the Meraglim and also to Korach, right? You know the Rashi very well. Rashi mentions in Parshas Korach that Korach was a Pierke. He was very, very sharp. He was very keen. His intelligence was highly intelligent, right? Nevertheless, we're seeing that the desire for kavod brought about the destruction of Korach. And also the Meraglim. The Meraglim were chosen at the very beginning because they were of a very high status. They were the high echelon of Klal Yisrael in all ways possible, right? Nevertheless, because of their desire for kavod, right, that's what caused them to sin and to make the terrible, destructive mistake of their speaking negatively about Eretz Yisrael and causing the rest of Klal Yisrael to sin.
Okay, so they feared the diminution of their honor in the possibility that after entry into the land, they would no longer be princes of Israel, and others would be appointed in their place. What, if not a concern for honor, caused Shaul to begin to seek an opportunity to kill David? As it is written, and the exultant women answered and said, Shaul has slain. And Shaul eyed David from that day forward? What, if not concern for his honor, caused Joab to kill Amasa? For David had said to Amasa, if you will not always be my general.
All right, so these are a few other, excuse me, a few other examples in Tanakh that where covet caused very great people to make very serious mistakes. We won't go into all the details of the pratim. We'd have to study a little bit more of Tanakh than we're able to do right now. But suffice it to say that there are many examples of where covet caused even great, very intelligent, and even people on the level of being tzaddikim to go off the derech and cause them to seem very great and fatal ways. So, and again, not only that, only reinforces our question. So, if this is such a dangerous aspect of life, covered, so why should the chachamim be given covered? Seems like it'll be like handing someone a lit stick of dynamite, and they've got to get rid of it quick or deal with it properly. Maybe it's even better not to have it, right? So we'll eventually get to the answer of that question. Let's continue on.
In fine, the desire for honor tugs at a person's heart more than any of the other longings and desires in the world. If not for concern over his honor, a person would be content to eat whatever was at hand, clothe himself with whatever would cover his nakedness, and to dwell in a house which would afford him protection from the elements. He would obtain his livelihood with little effort and would feel no need to exert himself to become rich. So as not.
You see that again. This also points up the necessity for covet, meaning people, if without these, covet goes along with kina and taiva, right? And we mentioned this many times. If it wasn't for kina, taiva, but kavod, right? Most people would just lie around in bed and not do anything. They wouldn't do anything any day, and they wouldn't do anything with their lives. So you need these motivations to get people out of bed and accomplishing things in life, right? And that's what causes, the world to function, right? The people who didn't want to get out of bed, there'd be no one to drive the trains, no one to drive the planes, right? No one to sail the boats, right? You need a boat captain. What do you need a boat captain for? Right? To sail a boat. And what do you need a boat for? Because people want to go sailing the seas in search of gold and silver and treasure, right? Or maybe they're looking for the fountain of youth, right? And all these things are motivations for people, and without the motivations causing these people to do these things, the world will be very, very unproductive. But again, without the control of Torah, people can go very far astray and get themselves into very serious, unfortunate situations.
You include greed under kina, taiva, and kavod?
Yeah, greed would probably be maybe on the kina, could be kina. Envy, jealousy. Greed is part of jealousy. Meaning these are the three main characteristics, but then you have subcategories or blends of these three different things.
Well, it says, but so as not to see himself as lower and lesser than his friends, he places a yoke upon his neck, and there is no end to all his labors. It is with this in mind that our teachers of blessed memory said, envy, lust, and honor seeking remove a person from the world, and warned us, do not seek greatness or desire honor. How many starve themselves and stoop to feeding themselves from charity so as not to engage in an occupation which they feel is lacking in respectability? for fear of a diminution of their honor. Is there anything sillier? They prefer to dwell in idleness, which leads to stagnation, lewdness, and theft, and to all of the major sins, in order not to lower themselves and detract from the honor which they imagine themselves to possess. Our sages of blessed memory, who constantly exhorted us to follow the path of truth and conducted us upon it, said, love work and hate position, and flay a carcass in the marketplace, and do not say, I am an important person, I am a priest. And a man should rather do work that is strange to him than have need of others. In fine, the desire for honor is one of man's greatest stumbling blocks. He cannot be a faithful servant to his master as long as he is concerned with his own honor. For whatever the case, his foolishness will lead him to detract from the honor of heaven. As King David, may peace be upon him, said, I will become even lesser than this. I will become low in my eyes. The only true honor is true knowledge of the Torah. In the words of our sages of blessed memory, there is no honor but Torah. As it is said, the wise will inherit honor. Anything else is seeming delusive honor, completely meaningless and worthless. One who could be clean should cleanse himself of the desire for honor and purify himself of it. He will then be successful.
Okay, so these last few lines brings us to a quote of exactly where we're learning now, right? Ein kavod ela b'Torah, and kavod chachamim yichalu. These are the two statements that we're dealing with right now. So that's why I wanted to bring up this Mesilas Yesharim here to show you that the contrast between the honor which normally is sought and thought to be of value is really, as the Mechaber says, really a vain and of no worth, really, right? And people nevertheless spend their lives trying to achieve this type of honor, which really doesn't really amount to much at all, and can only really cause them pain and suffering in both in this world and in the next world. And nevertheless, the Torah, which is the true knowledge, and which gives a person true honor, right? That's something which is not only desirable to have, but they're not only that, but other people are obligated to give honor to those people who possess Torah. So it's something which is an obligation, and we have to try and understand briefly how that works, because again, since we just saw many examples of how destructive honor can really be, but that again that's honor which is only something which is the false honor, the destructive honor, right? It's fool's gold. It looks like gold, but it's fool's gold. People are applauding him. They're singing his praises. He's in all the newspapers, right? He's they're all doing all this and that for him, right? But in the end, it all fades away, and there's nothing there left. It's simply a nice feeling, and we're not saying there's nothing there, but just as if you compare the sensation of eating, right? For example, so a person's eating some food, and momentarily it tastes very good. It tastes very good. Hashem constructed us. Kadosh Baruch Hu designed us in a way that we have taste buds, that we should taste food, and we should therefore desire food, right? And we should enjoy the food, right? And part of the successful digestion process is by enjoying the food that you're eating. And nevertheless, the real true pleasure that a person gets from the food that he eats is only very momentarily. It can last only as long as it's there in the mouth with the taste buds. After that, there's not much real pleasure you get from the food. You get nutrition and all that, and it's very important and very significant that a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to get our nutrition in that way, in a pleasurable way. But nevertheless, the pleasure that you get is very momentarily, and it's passing after that one brief moment. Likewise, the fame and all that, and all the honor that a person's given in this world, it's going to fade. It's not going to be something which is permanent, and therefore the honor which is given to those who learn Torah is something which is going to be lasting, something which is going to be remaining with them. And that's only the true honor that comes through Torah. The Torah itself is if a person is, and again, we remember we're learning those who are learning Torah Lishma, right? So people are learning Torah Lishma, meaning their goal is to learn Torah in order they should understand properly what a Kadosh Baruch Hu expects of them. All right, so as we started off, one of the things that Kadosh Baruch Hu expects from us, everybody, is that not only do they steer clear from those things which are sins in terms of their thought processes, in terms of their speech, and in terms of their behavior, but a person has to steer clear of things which are considered to be sinful, even in the realm of his his personality, what we call his midos. And so for the desire of kavod, right, that would automatically preclude any learning of Torah Lishma. If a person really is interested in kavod, and that's his motivation, and again, how much of a percent does it have to be to make it Shalol Lishma? That's a whole other discussion. It's a technical discussion. How much Lo Lishma has to be involved, that what he's doing is not Lishma. But in general, you have to say that Shalol Lishma, it can at one point or another turn everything upside down, and Lishma really should be 100% as 100% as possible. And again, it can be a very simple thing, that your basic desire, your basic motivation, your basic goal in learning the Torah that you're learning is simply to know properly what a Kadosh Baruch Hu expects for you to do and to carry out a successful life, and that's basically Lishma. So if a person's going to be learning Lishma, as we're learning here in this 6th parak, the person's going to be learning his Torah Lishma. So that's going to give him cover. And since his Torah is Lishma, so he'll be protected automatically from falling into the trap of desiring covered for the sake of his Torah. So we're going to go over this paragraph one more time just to finalize it. And we'll continue with that one more summary of this paragraph tomorrow, and then we'll continue on. And let's take a little short break unless there are any questions right now based on anything we've discussed up till now. Everything good?
Thank you. I'll try and get my Mesilas Yesharim. I couldn't find it.
Which edition are you using? Do you have want to show me a copy?
I don't know. What one have you got?
I have the Goldheim edition here.
I think we've got that one. I think so.
We start on page 171.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Mercy Shem, see you tomorrow.
Right, likewise. Have a good afternoon, Mitzvah Shem, and we'll take a short break and we'll continue with this Mesilas Yesharim share Very shortly, Mitzvah.
See you, Mayor.
May be well.
Okay.